Remember what I said behind the camera? It's always a mess. Here's a really quick video to show you exactly what I was talking about. I'm a wreck. I honestly don't know what my hair is doing, but I've given up. I've just totally given up. Hey Booktube, it's Kim at middle of the book march. I'm making sure I'm on record. Yes, I am. And I have a book haul for you today, an October book haul. I think most of these came in October. I have a few new books and a pile of used or bargain books that I purchased. So let me show you what I have. I picked up my Book of the Month Club book and an add-on. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but I go back and forth between Book of the Month. Sometimes I have my active subscription, sometimes I cancel it. I've gone back and forth like the wind in the last year or two with Book of the Month, and quite honestly, I get sucked in. It's like The Godfather. I get out and they just pull me right back in. So I have two books from this month that I purchased. The first one is Hester by Lori Lico Albanese. This is a novel. This is basically a retelling of The Scarlet Letter, which is one of my all-time favorite American classic novels. And this is it's got a really pretty title page. It doesn't, who cares? But I noticed that stuff. Yeah, this is Isabel Gamble is a young seamstress, and she set sail from Scotland in the early 1800s with her husband, Edward. She gets kind of abandoned by her husband, and she meets a young Nathaniel Hawthorne. Oh, this is really interesting. It's kind of inspired by Hester Prynne, the heroine of The Scarlet Letter. Was she a heroine? The protagonist of The Scarlet Letter? I don't know, whatever. Along with my hair, the rest of me is a hot mess too. So I got Hester, again by Lori Lico Albanese. So I'm looking forward to that. Because, like I said, I love The Scarlet Letter. I don't know if this is, I'm not even going to try. I was going to see if this is a debut novel, but I don't know. The next one is not. I got Daisy Darker, the latest from Alice Feeney, and Susan from Road Reads had a really disappointing experience with this one, but I'm an Alice Feeney fan, even though I didn't love I Know Who You Are, which is I just finished a few weeks ago. I'm going to try this one, and I know what Susan said about it, but I'm going to try it anyway. We'll see, because I really do like Alice Feeney's writing. What is this one about? I don't know. It's Alice Feeney. Let's see. 5 years of avoiding one another. Daisy Darker's family is getting together for Nana's 80th birthday party on a tiny tidal island. It looks like kind of a retelling of And Then There Was One by Agatha Christie. Yeah. It's kind of a retelling of that. There have been several of those, so we'll see how I get along with that one. So those are the two Book of the Month Club books. I have two new books, but only one of them I paid full price for. The other one I got at a discount. I don't know how. I don't remember. No, actually, I paid full price for both of them because they both came from independent bookstores. This one I was just giddy about. I got Maddie Mortimer's Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies. But imagine my delirious, joyful surprise when it was a paperback with deckled edges and French flaps. And this is kind of one of those, you know, like stays open, floppy, even though it has deckled edges and French flaps. This is her debut, and I think, which prize list is this on? Was this on? Is this shortlisted on the Booker? I don't remember. That's what a hot mess I am today because I didn't look into any of these. I just bought them, put them in a pile, and I got ready to talk to you guys about them. But I did get that one. And, of course, I got the Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. Hamnet, I loved. I adore Hamnet. And I was waiting for O'Farrell's new one to come out, and this is it. This one is set in Florence in the 1550s, talking about Renaissance Italy. And you guys are probably bored already because I haven't really given you any glimpse into what any of these books are about. Are you bored? Are you bored already? But yes, I got the marriage portrait. I'm quickly becoming a Maggie O'Farrell fan. Let's see. This one is When I Sing Mountains Dance by Irene Sola, a novel. This is translated from the Catalan by Mara Fay Lethem. And this one is High in the Pyrenees. Storm clouds swell, reckless, gleeful, and unbearably full. They release their bolts of lightning, striking a farmer named Dominic. He dies with poems on his lips and black chanterelles gathered in his shirt. The ghosts of 17th century witches come across his body and claim his chanterelles before going on their merry way. That part of the description alone made me buy the book. And it's a really pretty cover. It's kind of like that glossy. I don't know if that matters to you. But yeah. This next one I think I bought this in honor of Victober. Now, I read Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. And this one is Aurora Floyd. I had honestly never heard of this book. And I think I was looking up something that had to do with classics. This was published in serial form in 1862 and 1863. This is a heroine trapped in an abusive and adulterous marriage and effectively dramatizes the extra-legal pressures which kept many such unhappy marriages out of the courts, fear of personal scandal. Aurora's bigamous marriage dramatizes the need for expeditious divorce without enormous social cost, and the overt sexuality of the heroine shocked contemporary critics. Bring that on. Yeah. This one is the next stack. No, not the next stack. A couple. The next two I bought at one of my favorite used book superstores in Massachusetts. This is Sue Miller, the Arsonist, and she's the author of Monogamy, which I just hauled a month or so ago. And this one was published in 2014. So this is one of her backlist books. Troubled by the feeling that she belongs nowhere after working in East Africa for 15 years, Frankie Raleigh has come home to the small New Hampshire village of Pomeroy and the farmhouse where her family has always summered. On her first night back, a house up the road burns to the ground. Then another house burns, and another, always the houses of the summer people. In a town where people have never bothered to lock their doors, social fault lines are opened and neighbors begin to regard another with suspicion. So it's basically what it says on the cover, The Arsonist. This is another one, really great cover, I love it. And this hardback has deckled edges. The next one is another favorite author. This is Anne Enright, The Forgotten Waltz, which is a novel. Great photograph on this book, I love that. Anne Enright is an Irish author, and she won the Booker Prize for The Gathering many years ago. And this particular book was published in 2011. Let's see. In Terenure, a pleasant suburb of Dublin in the winter of 2009, it has snowed. Gina Moynihan, a girl about town, recalls the trail of lust and happenstance that brought her to fall for the love of her life, Sean Vallely. As the city outside comes to a halt, Gina remembers the days of their affair in one hotel room or another. That's interesting, in Dublin in 2009. That alone, I'm reading the book. Long afternoons made blank by bliss and denial. Now as the streets and the stillness and the vertigo of the falling snow make the day luminous and full of possibility, Gina walks through the weather to meet a girl she calls Sean's beautiful mistake, his fragile 12-year-old daughter, Evie. So Anne Enright is an Irish author that I really like. I started reading The Gathering years ago, and I think I read half of it and for whatever reason didn't finish it. So I have it on my shelf. I still want to get to it. I read her book Actress with Britta a few months back. We both really liked that book. coincidentally just read a short story by her in this anthology that Britta and I are making our way through. So yeah, glad to pick that one up. This one is Shelter by Zhang Yun, and this is a used book, former library book. This was published in 2016, not too long ago. And the little blurb on the top of the description says, "You can never know what goes on behind closed doors." And I say that all the time because you never know. Little people live in little houses, they live in apartments, they live in rooms, they live in mansions. You never know what goes on behind those doors. And if you could peek in people's windows, you would never believe some of the things you may witness. I say that all the time. I really do. Let's see. Kyung Cho is a young father burdened by a house he can't afford. For years, he and his wife Jillian have lived beyond their means. Now their debts and bad decisions are catching up with them, and Kyung is anxious for his family's future. A few miles away, his parents, Jin and Mei, live in the town's most exclusive neighborhood, surrounded by the material comforts that Kyung desires for his wife and son. As a child, he had every possible advantage: private tutors, expensive hobbies, but his parents never shown him kindness. Kyung can hardly bear to see them now, much less to ask for their help. Yet when an act of violence leaves Jin and Mei unable to live on their own, the dynamic suddenly changes and he's compelled to take them in. Hence the title, Shelter. So that sounds really good. And I heard about this book a while ago and finally found, I don't know how, found a used library book copy online. And if you've watched me for a while, you know I really love former library books. I don't know why. Okay, now, the next 4 books are all nonfiction, and these are in honor of Heidi, because I bought these on the day that I met Heidi from My Reading Life at the beach a couple week and a half ago. And on my way home, after she and her husband continued on their trip, I stopped at a bookstore that I used to go to when I was a teenager. Thank goodness that's how long it's been in business. But it's a beautiful independent bookstore. They have brand new books and bargain books interspersed with each other. So you never know what treasures you can find. And I found all of these hardcover nonfiction books, all bargain prices, anywhere from between $5 and $8. So this one is Why Fish Don't Exist by Lulu Miller. And Heidi read this book, A Story of Loss, Love, and the Hidden Order of Life. I think I remember her saying that this was an interesting first half of the book, but then later on, it just opened up, and Heidi loved it. So I was able to find, now this is oh my gosh, this is a really pretty book. Look at that illustration that's right in the middle of the book. And, oh, there's illustrations throughout. I am so happy I picked this up. I didn't even look in it. Look at this one. Holy moly. And the end paper is gold. What is up? And this is like foil. Gosh, this is such a pretty book. Let's see. David Starr Jordan was a taxonomist, a man possessed with bringing order to the natural world. In time, he would be credited with discovering nearly 1/5 of the fish known to humans in his day. But the more of the hidden blueprint of life he uncovered, the harder the universe seemed to try to thwart him. His specimen collections were demolished by lightning, by fire, and eventually by the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, which sent more than 1,000 of his discoveries housed in fragile glass jars plummeting to the floor. In an instant, his life's work shattered. Now, NPR reporter Lulu Miller, the author of the book, first heard this anecdote in passing. She took Jordan for a fool. Cautionary tale in hubris or denial. But as her own life slowly unraveled, she began to wonder about him. Perhaps instead he was a model for how to go on when all is lost. What she would unearth about his life would transform her understanding of history, morality, and the world beneath her feet. Such a beautiful book. Look at that. So, the next one is Fathoms by Rebecca Giggs, The World in the Whale. I love whales. Now, in my area of the country, you can rent a boat to go whale watching. And I absolutely love them. I always have. When she encountered a humpback whale stranded on her local beachfront in Australia, she began to wonder how the lives of whales reflect the condition of our oceans. Fathoms, The World in the Whale blends natural history, philosophy, and science to explore. How do whales experience ecological change? How has whale culture been both understood and altered by human technology? So it's basically learning about whales. Let me see. Are there pictures in here? I don't see any. No, I don't see any. But I'm really, really looking forward to reading this one about these really majestic creatures that we have on our Earth. This one is The Doctor's Blackwell by Janice P. Namura. How Two Pioneering Sisters Brought Medicine to Women and Women to Medicine. This was included this may have been, I don't remember, in the BookTube Prize for Nonfiction. And this one, I don't remember how far this got. Elizabeth Blackwell believed from an early age that she was destined for a mission beyond the scope of ordinary womanhood, which basically meant be married off and start having kids. Though the world at first recoiled at the notion of a woman studying medicine, her intelligence and intensity ultimately won her acceptance of the male medical establishment. In 1849, she became the first woman in America to receive an MD. She was soon joined in her iconic achievement by her younger sister Emily, who is actually the more brilliant physician. Why would I not be interested in this book? Women doctors in the mid-19th century? Yeah, that's going to be super fascinating. And this one on a similar topic is Suffrage, Women's Long Battle for the Vote by Ellen Carroll Du Bois. This was just basically a surprise discovery that I found in that bookstore, and I thought, yeah, absolutely. It looks like it's narrative nonfiction, which is always excellent because narrative nonfiction often reads like a novel. And let's see, really quickly, the struggle for women's suffrage began before the Civil War, when Lucretia Mott, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Susan B. Anthony started organizing for women's rights, among them the right to vote. In their quest, they made common cause with abolitionists such as Sojourner Truth and Frederick Douglass. After the Civil War, Black men gained the right to vote, but women were left without the franchise, a crushing blow. Women's suffrage now went their own way. By the century's end, a new generation, including Carrie Chapman Catt and Alice Paul, took the fight for the vote into the progressive era. African-American women, led by such fierce activists as Ida B. Wells Barnett, also fought for suffrage, even as many white activists ignored them. Which is a really important theme to touch on, because when we think about women's suffrage, first and second wave feminism, quite often Black women and other women of color have been left out. So it's really interesting, and it will be interesting to find out what this movement meant from their perspective. So that is it for me. It's quite a lot. And I have a lot to do. I have a lot to read. Some great stuff. So let me know if you've read any of these and you love any of them. Let me know if you've read something that you got to get to that one quick. And write a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.